Often when you work with PowerPoint, you work with a corporate template. And if you have to build a corporate template or edit it, it's pretty nice if you know how to do that. Or let's say you want to put your logo in the corner of every slide. It's not that fun to get into every slide and copy and paste and copy and paste. Or let's say you decide you want your normal font size to be larger than it is. That's not that fun to change over and over again either. That's why it's important to know about master templates. Basically, if you change something on the master template, it changes on every slide of that type. PowerPoint calls the master templates master slides. And the cool thing about master slides, after you create them, you can apply them presentation-wide, you can apply them to just a couple of different slides, or you can set it as your default template. Now, a lot of you probably won't be making master slides from scratch. Instead, you'll be editing the ones that the company that you work at already has. But if you can make something from scratch, you can edit it too, right? The file that I have sitting in front of me here is called, cleverly enough, sample file, and you can get it from the resources that accompany this module. Take a little bit of time and go get it now. It's a lot easier to work on something if you already have something. Okay, so I've got this plain old presentation here, and it's got some content in it, but it doesn't look all that super professional, right? As you just heard, we can create master template slides that can apply a professional look to all of the slides in your presentation. So let's learn how to do that. The first thing we're going to do is change our view to the master template slide view. To do that, you go up to the little view tab because we're changing our view. Makes sense, right? You click it, and then you go to slide master. When I click slide master, you'll notice that the screen changes a little bit, right? So an important thing if you're going to be in the slide master is knowing how to get out. First off, note that we still have all the same tabs that we did before. So if you're going to do something in the master template, like change font size, you can still go to the home tab and change font size, right? You've got this new slide master tab where you can close the slide master view, or remember we just got into this thing by going up to view and then clicking slide master, right? Well, you can also get out by going to view and then clicking normal. Take a second and go ahead and try that. Go up to view, get into slide master, look around, then come back and go to view to normal. Okay, I'm going to go back into my slide master, so I'm going to go up to view to slide master. Now here's the important thing for you to understand about the slide master. Earlier, when we were creating new slides, we'd go up to new slide and you have a whole bunch of different types of slides that you can put in, right? Well, the thing is that there's a master template for each one of these. So you've got title and content, that's the title and bullet slide. Then you've got your normal title slide. Chances are you're going to want your title slide to look different than your title and content slide, right? So here's the way it works. If I'm clicked on a slide and then I go to view to slide master, you notice that a slide is highlighted over here on the side. Well, that is right now the title and content slide. See, it's got title and content. If I close that view and click on the regular title slide, now I can go to view to slide master. And now look, I'm on the title slide, right? So it does matter which one you're on when you edit it, because if I edited this one, it would only be changing the master templates for the title slides. So I could go crazy and change things and I wouldn't see them at all on all my bulleted slides. However, if I did click the bulleted slide one over here and change that, it would change on all the bulleted slides from now on. That way, if I wanted my titles to look a certain way on the bulleted slide, I could change it here in the master slide template, and then it would change on all of my other slides. Make sense? Okay, there is one more thing to know. I mean, there are a bunch of different types of slides. So if you just wanted to add your logo or a nice little bar down at the bottom, you probably wouldn't want to do it on all the slides. That would get kind of old, right? Well, here's the thing. If you scroll up to the top, look all the way up at the top, there's a master template slide. And that's kind of like the overall master or the top master or the most important master slide. Either way, if you change something on this top one, it'll cascade all the way down to all of these other slides. Here, check it out. So for example, I'm on this top slide and maybe I'll draw a bar down at the bottom. So I go up to home and I get a little box. And I draw a nice little bar across the whole thing. I'm going to make it black because that's how I roll. Now notice when I added it here, it added it to all these other slides. And if I go back to the normal view, it's there as well. Now note that on the normal view, you actually can't move that box. It's on there. Things that you add to the masters are basically being added to the background. Before we get too deep into it, go ahead and give that a shot. Go to View to Slide Master, scroll all the way up so you're to the overall master, the one up on top, and maybe just draw a nice little box down across the bottom of it. Then close it and go make sure it shows up on all of your normal slides. The thing you have to watch out for here is thinking that you're in the normal slides when you're actually in the master slide. It's pretty easy to get stuck or be in the wrong place. All right, give that a try. Okay, so here I am in my presentation, and we've already gone into the master slides and added this bar. Actually, it looks quite a bit better already. Let's look at how we change formatting in the master slides. So for example, here I am in formatting tips, and I read that I shouldn't have any text below 20-point font, basically because statistically someone in the room won't be able to read it. But if I want absorption to happen, that's about 36 point or above. Now if I click this text, oh, that's 28 point. Which is not bad, but it's also not really big enough to just absorb. So I'd like to change all of my bullet points to 36 point font. It's going to get pretty old if I have to do it on every single slide, so this sounds like a good opportunity for the master slide. So let's do it. I head myself into View, and over to the Slide Master. Now remember, I can change it on the overall master, or I can just change it on the bulleted slides. In this case, the overall master does have bullets, so I'll do it there. Do you see down here where it says Edit Master Text Styles? Same sort of thing up here. It does mean styles. It doesn't mean words. So when they're talking about styles, they mean things like text size and color and formatting and the font face, but they don't mean the words that you type. So the words that are here really don't matter. In fact, you could get rid of some of them. Like that, and it wouldn't hurt it at all. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to change my bullet. And we'll bump it up a couple of times. I like the A with the arrow. Bump, bump. Now we're up to 36, but now that we're at 36, the title looks almost the same size. Well, that's going to confuse the brains of people that are looking at it. So I'm going to take the title and I'm going to bump that up some too. Bump, bump, bump. How big do you want to bump it? Basically, you want to bump it until it's obviously at first glance bigger than the other parts. Bigger means more important. That's pretty good right there at 66. And maybe one of the things that I'll do is move it over so that the C in click lines up with the E in edit so that we get some real nice alignment here. I could either move it by hand or click on the edge and move it over. I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard right now because I'm fancy. Now if I wanted to, I could also change the size of my second level text, which I think I'm going to. Maybe I'll bump that up to 28 so at least it's a little bit more legible. Either way, I've made some changes, yeah? Let's make a pretty obvious change so you can really see it. Let's change the title color. Now this isn't something you really have to do in real life. I'm doing it just so you can for sure see that I've changed something. Let's go with a nice blue. Now you might notice already, if you look over on the left-hand side of the screen, that these changes have cascaded down. But if I leave the master view, I go to View, to Normal, we'll see that these changes have also cascaded their way down on all the slides. Nice, right? If we added new bullet point slides, they automatically come out like that. Now notice that the title slide here did change size and color, but it didn't line up the same way I lined up before. That's because the title slide is its own type of slide. If something differs from the overall master, you're going to have to change that individually. So let's do that. I'll go up and click Slide Master. Right now I'm already on the title slide because I was clicking it a second ago. And maybe I'll get rid of some words here. I'm going to make the title really big because that's how I roll. Maybe I'll line it up to the left-hand side, and I'll line up the subtitle to the left-hand side, and I'll line it up all pretty like. One of the things that really makes our brain happy is seeing alignment. So when your house is messy and you run around just lining things up real quick, and it looks so much better. So you don't need to center align things. In fact, you're better off if you don't. If you line things up on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, you'll see that it actually is a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Okay, so remember what we did. We went into View to Slide Master, and first on the overall master, the top one, we changed the size of the bullet points and the title and maybe some colors. And then we went to go see if it cascaded down. We also came and individually changed the title slide. Give that a shot. Get inside of yours and go to View to Slide Master. Change some stuff on the masters. When you're done, go back to View to Normal and make sure that it showed up on your normal slides. Perhaps you're saying, yes, David, thank you. It's very useful to be able to change overall font formatting on the master slide. I like to be able to change things like color and size of text and the location of text boxes, but I also want to be able to add things to the master slide. Maybe our logo or something like a copyright notice. Well, I would say, lucky for you that you're listening to this part of the PowerPoint 2016 learning module, because that's what we're going to do. It's actually pretty simple. If you want to add something to a slide, all you have to do is add it to a slide. Now, I don't mean to be sarcastic. I just mean that if you want to put text on a screen, you need to add a text box. And if you want to put an image on a screen, you need to add an image. You can't just edit one that's already there. So for example, if I wanted to add the Learnit logo to all of the bullet point slides, I'd click on the bullet point slide, go up to View to Slide Master, and then I'd add the logo by clicking Insert to Pictures like you normally would. There's the logo, and I'll put it down here in the corner. Maybe I'll line it up nice. Now when I go back to View to Normal, you'll notice that on all of the bullet point slides, but not the title slide, I've got the Learnit logo. Nice, right? Well, the same thing works if you're trying to add text. For example, if I wanted to add the copyright notice to the PowerPoint Tips title slide, I could click on the title slide and go to View to Slide Master and put a copyright notice on the title slide. Remember, if I wanted to put it on every slide, I'd have to scroll up and put it on the overall master. But right now I'm not going to. So I'll click the title slide and I'll go Insert a text box. There's a text box. I'll draw a nice little rectangle. One cool thing to know about is if you do a parentheses and a C and another parentheses, it changes it to copyright notice. Pretty cool, right? I'll align it over to the left and I'll make it white and then bring it down into that box. So let's make it white. Looks like it disappeared. It's just white is all. And I'll put it right there. Now on all of my title slides, I'll have a copyright notice to keep nefarious people from using my slides when they shouldn't. I go to View to Normal. Now you see that it shows up and I can't remove it. And if I were to come in and add another slide, another title slide perhaps, now I have two in a row because that's how people do, notice they both have the copyright notice. Go ahead and give that a shot. Get into your Slide Master by going to View to Slide Master and put some things on the screen. Put in a text box. Put in an image. Note that those won't be editable later. They'll show up on the slides exactly like you see them now. Cool, right? Now, sometimes people say, yes, David, that's very nice, but on this slide, I do want to remove the logo or maybe that black bar down on the bottom. I want to get rid of all of the stuff that you added to the master slide. How do I do that? Well, there is a way to do it. And don't be that surprised if you have to come back and check or ask Google, because Google knows how to do it as well. Basically, PowerPoint considers everything that you put on the master slide as part of the background. So background settings are set in this Design tab up here. So if you go to Design, all the way over on the side, you'll have Format Background, right? If I give that a click, this thing pops up and one of the choices is Hide Background Graphics. So if I hide the background graphics, you'll notice that everything I put on the master slide disappears. There's not a way to make some stuff appear and some stuff disappear. That's just the way it rolls. Go ahead and give that a shot. And then when you're ready, it's probably a good idea to start brand new and create a whole master slide from scratch. In a little bit, we're going to add editable content as well. Fun, isn't it? Most of the people that are working with master slides are generally just kind of editing or tweaking the ones that they've already got. But sometimes, if you're the person who does that, you might come in and make whole new PowerPoint templates for your organization. So you'll make new slides, and then you'll put text boxes on the screen that later people will fill in. So let's learn how to do that. First, when you go to View to Slide Master, you'll note that there's all kinds of different slides right now. Now normally you don't really need all of those, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click the first one, hold Shift, click the last one, deleted. So now I've got a title slide, and a title and bullet slide, and I've got myself a section header slide. Really what that means is you're changing topics. If it means changing topics, why don't we change it so that it's called Changing Topics? Totally easy to redo. You just give it a right click and you choose Rename. Nice, right? I mean, while we're at it, why don't we go ahead and change the title and content slide to be called Title and Bullets? So again, I'm in the slide master. I give it a right click, go to Rename Layout, call it Title and Bullets, and click Rename. Now what's neat is when I close the master view and I go to make a new slide, notice that there are only 3 slides here because we deleted those other ones, right? And they're named something that makes sense to us. Give that a shot. Go ahead and get rid of the slides that you don't want in your master slides. Don't worry, it won't let you get rid of your bullet slides or your title slide. And then rename some slides by right-clicking them and choosing Rename. Now that we've gotten rid of some slides, let's learn how to make new ones. I'm going to go back to View to Slide Master. When you're inserting a new slide, they call that a layout. So up here, you click Insert Layout. Notice that it just made me a new one. Maybe this is the main point slide, and I'm encouraging my people that when they're making the main point, to make it with really big text. So I'm going to change the size of the text box here. Make the text really big. Maybe I'll line the text up on the top instead of to the middle. Right, so I've got a new slide, but I want to put a little box down here for special tip. Here's how we do that. On the Slide Master tab, we're not going to insert a whole new layout because layouts make a new slide, right? Instead, we'll make a placeholder. Now, a placeholder is basically a box that your users will use later on to insert content or text or pictures or charts or all this other stuff that you see here. Now, most of the time when somebody wants to put in a picture, they'll just go up to Insert to Picture. Although if you've got a special layout planned, you can tell people where to put the pictures by putting in a picture placeholder. Now in this case, we're just going to do text. So I'll click Text. Maybe I'll put it right here. I'll draw myself a nice text box. Notice that it puts in a bunch of bullet points. I'm going to get rid of all of those. I'm going to shut off the bullet point. No bullet point for you. And I'll right click to write tip here. Up above, I'll change this text box so it says, click to edit main point. And I'll rename the slide over on the side, main point. And I'll click rename. You can even reorder them in here. Now again, remember what we did here. We're inside the Slide Master. I inserted a layout which inserted a slide. And then I inserted as many placeholders as I wanted for my people to edit later. I even renamed the slide because I'm fancy. Now, when I close the master view and I go to make a new slide, notice that main point is a choice available. And when I click it, click to add main point and click the right tip here. Tips rule is a nice point. Fairly meta. All right, now's your chance. Get into the master slides, make a whole new layout, and then add placeholders. And you can consider yourself a PowerPoint genius because this is what high-level corporate designers do. Hopefully you're feeling pretty proud about yourself, because if you know this much about masters, you already know more than 97 or 98%, very unscientific guessing that I'm doing right there, of people who use PowerPoint. But if you're going to go all the way, you might be a designer who's actually creating the corporate template. And if you're doing that, then you wouldn't want somebody to pop in a chart or maybe some kind of cool graphic and have the graphic colors, clash, blah, blah, blah. That would be awful. Instead, you'd probably want the chart or graphic or whatever to pop in and automatically use your corporate colors, right? Well, that's totally doable. All you have to do is set a color scheme. Here's the way that it works. Yep, you go back to View to Slide Master, and then check it out. Right in the middle, you've got colors. You've also got fonts and effects, things like that, but most of the time what you're going to play with is colors. Now you open it up, and there's some that are already built in, and if these just happen to be your corporate colors, then it's your lucky day because you can just pick one. Or you can roll all the way down to the bottom and choose Customize Colors. Now notice here it's got text background dark, and it shows black and shows it over here, text background light, and then background dark and background light. Now remember again what they're talking about is if you stick in a chart or some kind of custom graphic, this is how it's going to decide that it'll be colored. So let's say that instead of this black text here, your company uses a lot of orange. So I'd open it up and I choose an orange that I thought was acceptable. Kind of nice, right? And if I don't want a kind of purpley background here, I'd go, you know what? When you do a dark background, just do it with black because I'm kind of goth. And then you notice all these different accent colors and hyperlink colors, and notice accent, 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 and hyperlink and followed hyperlink. Basically, you'd roll through here and change these colors to colors that work with your corporate color scheme. I can even open the colors up and go to more colors and put in RGB values down here if that's what your company uses. Pretty neat, right? If I click OK and save, you'll notice that it'll try and recolorize some things that are already in my presentation. You can go color them back the way that they used to be, or you can just leave it alone. Now really, I only wanted this stuff to apply to custom graphic artwork that it put in by itself, so I'm probably going to come back and give it a click, and on the Format tab, I can change it back to however I feel like. And notice that in the Format tab, it's giving me only my custom corporate colors. Pretty neat, right? Okay, so the idea is that if you want to, you can come make custom colors, and then things that are automatically colored later on will come out in those colors. Again, this really only applies to people making the corporate template. If that's you, happy birthday. If that's not you, you just saw some cool stuff, and now you can move on to the next part, which you probably will use. If you've been watching all of these videos straight through, and not stopping and practicing like you're supposed to, you already spent half an hour just learning how this stuff works. If you're actually going to get in and really tweak the templates, it probably takes quite a bit longer. Most of the time in graphic design is not in the actual making, it's in the deciding and trying. So you have to imagine that if you tweak a master template, even if you tweak it just a little bit, you're probably not going to want to do that every single time that you open up a PowerPoint presentation, right? That's why it's also nice to know that you can also save a master template and apply it with the push of a button. Or you can set it so that your master template automatically comes out every time you click to make a new file. When you're saving a master slide template, PowerPoint calls that saving a design, which is probably why they put it up on the Design tab. And when you click Design, you notice that there are a whole bunch of built-in templates already. You can even open that up to see all the other ones in here. And most of them are kind of but some of them are not that bad, really. Now you can apply one of these just by clicking, or you can save the current theme that you've got all the way down here at the bottom by clicking Save Current Theme. That's what I'm going to do right now. So I'll save the current theme. It's important to just put the current theme where it suggests, because that's where PowerPoint goes looking every time that it starts up. I'm just going to call it Learnit Theme. And I'll click Save. Now I'll see that if I create a new presentation, which I'm going to do by doing Control-N because I'm fancy, you're back to the boring old white nothing kind of presentation. But if I go up to the Design tab, oh, looky looky, there's the custom Learnit theme right there. If I click the Learnit theme, note that my title slide automatically takes the Learnit theme. And when I insert new slides, the choices that I've already made. So the way to apply a design template is to go up to the Design tab, pull down on the choices, and save the current theme. From then on, that choice will be available to you in the Design tab. Now, if you like, you can save the current theme and then send it to other people in your organization as well. To load a theme that someone sends you, simply go to the same place, pull down, and choose Browse for Themes. Just so you know, that's one of those things that if you're the IT person, you're probably better off walking around and just doing it on everybody's machine, because if you send them the theme and really good instructions about how to put it in, you'll get about a 50% adoption rate. Okay, so here's the thing. When you create yourself a new PowerPoint Slide Master template, you can go to the Design tab, pull down, and save the current theme. Then you'll have it forever. Go ahead and give that a shot. Okay, now that you've tried it yourself, here's something else that you can do. If you're on the Design tab and you pull down, you can come over to your custom theme, give it a right click, and tell it, hey, set this as the default theme. From then on, every single time you start any kind of brand new presentation, it'll come out in that theme. If you're making a corporate slide template, this is probably a good idea. I'm not going to do it right now, just because I want to keep this computer pristine. But if you want to, feel free. Now remember, it's not the end of the world if you change your mind. You can come back to the plain one, which is this one, and just set that one as the default theme. Give that a shot if you like. And after you're done, you know pretty much all there is to know about making master slides, editing them, applying them, and saving them to apply with one click for later. Now, we've all sat in a presentation where it was like bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, right? I mean, we're used to it, but it gets kind of old. If you had the time, money, or staff at your disposal, you'd probably get a graphic designer to make some really cool graphics for you so you wouldn't have to just do bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Maybe if you were describing a process, you'd have like cool flowing arrows and all kinds of nice graphics and things like that, right? But I mean, really, who's got the time or money or staff for that kind of thing? I'm trying to make a PowerPoint presentation to give on Friday at the staff meeting. So a little while ago, Microsoft came up with this great idea. They said, why don't we allow people to make a normal sort of bulleted list and then choose a category, and we'll give them artwork that fits that category, and the bullet points will automatically become artwork in like a smart way. And people are like, oh, dang, that is a really good idea. You're so very smart. And so they were so proud of themselves that they decided to call that smart art. And here's kind of a little example of it. So here's like a normal bulleted list. This is from one of our classes called Influencing Without Authority, which is basically all about how to get people to do things if you can't just tell them how to do things. And I mean, it's not that bad, right? It looks nice. It's formatted okay. Now here's the list with smart art. I'm going to present the slide to you like it would be presented in the class. So there are different types of power or kinds of power that people use in the workplace. So for example, if you can just tell people what to do, that's called position power. And it's pretty nice if you can get it, right? And there are also those people around your office who, if they say, hey, let's do it this way, then everybody agrees because they know that person is so good at things. And that's referred to as expert power. Now, there are also people at your office, you have those, where they come by and they ask you to do something. You're totally open to do it because you like them. Everybody likes those people. They're awesome. But at the same time, there are those people that, they're not quite as awesome. But when they ask you to do something, you do it just to get them out of your, you just don't want to deal with the business that's going to happen if you put up a struggle, maybe. Both of those types of powers are referred to as personal power. And for most of this influencing without authority class, the rest of us are left with the last power to develop, which is called relationship power. Now note how this opened up with the boxes and one by one. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Is it better than that? A lot better than that? Yeah, that's what I think too. And so if you have the chance and the ability to do it, why not use Smart Art? Now you might note that it came out in colors that worked with my design. And that's because I learned how to make a corporate color scheme, and you might have learned how to do it too in some of our previous modules here. So you might want to back up and learn about setting color schemes if you just skipped that part. Or whatever, America freedom. Let's move on and learn how to make these smart arts. Now that you know what smart art is, let's learn how to make it. It's really pretty easy to make. I'm going to make a new slide. I'm going to go up here and do new slide. I'll just do title and bullets. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of this bulleted box there. I don't really need it. To insert smart art, it's not too hard to figure out where it's going to go. You go up to insert, right? And then check it out. Oh, smart art. How nice for me. Now I give it a click. And over on the left-hand side here, you'll note that you have these categories. This is actually the most important part. I've seen people just willy-nilly use ones that kind of look cool to them. The thing is, all of these tell a story. Like if you choose the process category, you notice these are moving along with an arrow, and you've got like things that flow from one to the other. These are used to describe a process, like first you do this, and then you do that. And you've got things like cycles and hierarchies and things that have relationships with each other, and on and on and on. If you're just trying to make a nicer bulleted list, then up here you choose list. Make sense? Okay, so I'm going to choose this first one just because it's the first one and it's pretty easy, and we'll learn how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a double click or click it and hit OK, and this thing pops open, right? Now, what you'll notice first is you've got bullet points over on the side, and in the middle, you've got a box for each bullet point. If I take a bullet point away by backspacing, it removes a box. If I add a bullet point by hitting enter, as one does to add a bullet point, notice it adds boxes. Right? So basically what you'll do is you'll edit the bulleted list over on the side, and PowerPoint will automatically make the smart art for you. So let's say that we're over here making a new slide about who works here. You might notice that the list went away, but when I click it, it comes back. Right? So we've got David. He works here. That guy does a lot of stuff. And we have Carlos and Michael and maybe Luis. We need to hire some women here. Forget it. Let's get rid of David. And we'll hire Kara because she has an easy name to spell. Now you'll notice every time that I put in a bullet that it did it over the side here. That's basically how smart arts work. If I click off, the bullet point list will go away. I come back, right? You'll probably accidentally close it sooner or later because it's got that nice little X there, close, right? And then it gets all a little freaky. But if you click, notice that you have this little arrow down here. You can open it back up again. You might want to try that. All right, before we progress too far, let's at least get in here and make a smart art. So make yourself a new slide, maybe clear off some room, go up to Insert, Smart Art, try some different ones, make sure you pick one in a category that makes sense, fill some stuff in, have a good time. When you're ready, let's move on to the next module and start learning how to edit smart arts. Now that you've got some smart art, let's talk about modifying it. Because perhaps you don't love these colors, and maybe you decided that you don't even want to have a bunch of boxes like this. but you don't want to have to redo the whole thing. What's nice to know is that when you click Smart Art, you get these contextual tabs that show up at the top, Design and Format, right? Notice they don't show up if I'm not clicked though. When I click, oh, here they come. If we go to the Design tab, you can change your mind on the layout. You can say, oh, let's do these cool no, that's not that cool. So let's do this one. Or let's do one of these. You can change the colors if you like. Remember to keep it classy. And you've got these Smart Art styles where you can do things like, oh yeah, put little shadows on them. Or maybe I'll make them incredibly ugly in 3D. Remember, nobody's all that impressed that your stuff is 3D. Simple is generally better, but you might want like a nice glassy, classy look or something like that. Either way, the idea is that you can get in here and totally mess around with the thing, changing the layout or the colors or the styles. And if you want to, you can also go to the Format tab and change things individually. Maybe Kara is super important, so I'm going to come in and change the shape fill on Kara to a light blue, to maybe like to maybe be black. Now, personally, I wouldn't recommend spending too much time custom editing your Smart Art, because remember, the whole reason that we didn't make artwork from the scratch was because it takes a long time. The whole point of these Smart Arts is they're quick, get in, get out. So in the spirit of that, I'll go put it back. Give it a shot though. Click a Smart Art, go up to the Design tab, maybe change the layout or change the color. If you want, you can change the styles. If you mess it up good, you can always reset it, which is nice to know too. Now, if you don't see the changes that you want in here, you can come in and custom edit your Smart Art. You can click in and type and change words. You can move things around. You can resize stuff. Sometimes if you resize one thing, other things move around, and that's just kind of the way it is. Sometimes you have a lot of opportunity to change. So if you want to, you really can edit your Smart Arts quite a lot. Again, remember you don't have all day to do it, so sometimes you just have to settle. Either way, give it a try. Get in there and move some stuff around. Maybe resize something or change the color of just one box or just one piece of text. Whenever you can, you'll want to use the bullet points on the side though, right? Okay. Now, some of these Smart Arts can have images added to them, which is really pretty cool. I'm going to make a new slide and put in a Smart Art. Now, when I go up to Insert to Smart Art, you'll see that some of these Smart Arts have like weird little circles on them down here, or squares or rectangles like that. Those are ones that can take an image. Now remember, it is important to start in the category that you're working with. But if you want to deal with your own recognizance on choosing a category, you can start down here in Picture, where they've got all of the different Smart Arts available that can take pictures. So for example, if I stick this one in, notice how they have these little circles and has a little picture in the middle of it? Well, when you click a picture, it'll say, hey, do you want to browse and find a picture on your computer, or do you want to look on the world-renowned Bing? I'll choose Browse and choose a picture off the computer. Yeah, pretty nice, right? So in my previous example here, instead of just saying who works here, I could show who works here. There's Kara, and there's Carlos, and there's Michael. Get in there, Michael. And good old Luis. Now, it may be true that the people here at Learnit didn't really want their pictures being put in the PowerPoint slides on these demos, and so these might not be the same people that you're actually looking at, but they might be. Either way, look how much better this slide looks now that it's got pictures in it. It's pretty cool, right? A picture can say 1,000 words, but in this case, it's just saying Kara, Carlos, Michael, and Luis. Go ahead and give it a try yourself. put in a smart art that accepts pictures and add a picture to it. Note that the pictures resize themselves and you can't really get in and position or resize them. You get what you get. Okay, so I've got some smart art, right? And if I go play the slideshow, you'll notice that the smart art is just there, which is pretty cool. But a little while ago, I gave you guys a demo and my smart art choices were kind of flowing in one by one. They were animating, right? So let's learn how to do that. It's actually pretty easy to do. Here's how it works. You click the smart art and you go up to the animations tab. Now I'll choose one of these animations, but guys, keep it classy. I'm just going to choose fade. I'll give it a click, but you notice the whole smart art fades up because PowerPoint's not really sure, does he want the whole thing or does he just want part of it? So what I have to do is tell it, well, my option is to have it come in one by one. So I'll come over to Effect Options. So I pull down Effect Options and tell it one by one. When I give it a click, you see it fades in one by one. So the way it works is you click the Smart Art, go to Animations and hit Fade. But then you do have to tell it Effect Options one by one. Now I know it comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, but when you actually play the presentation full size, it waits for you to click the next button, or the mouse, or the arrow key, or however you like to move through your slides. So for example, I can say, hey, do y'all know Kara? How about Carlos? Check out Michael. Doesn't Luis look friendly? Right, so I bring him in or take him away by using the forward or back arrow button however I want. One of the major secrets to having an engaging presentation is not bringing things up until you're talking about them. If you bring up a slide, people read the whole slide real quick. And then they sit there, la la la, waiting for you to finish talking. If you're going to be engaging, go ahead and be engaging. And one of the big tricks is bringing things up one by one. So try it. Make a smart art, give it a click, go to the Animations tab and choose Fade. And then under the Effect options, choose one by one. When you're finished that, you're kind of a bit of a smart art master. Later, when we do custom animation, you'll learn how to make the smart art animate any way you want it to. But now is a really good time to make a couple of slides, pick some things that are real to you, and instead of regular old bullet points, make smart arts. You're probably pretty sold on smart art because it's awesome and who wouldn't be sold on it? But you might be thinking, I already have a whole bunch of presentations that I use all the time, and I'm not going to go back and convert those to smart art because it would take forever. I don't want to have to type everything again. Well, good thing you know what I'm about to show you, because check it out. Let's say you have a slide with some bullet points on it, and you want to convert these bullet points into smart art. Well, just give them a good old highlighting, right-click them, and look at one of your choices, Convert to Smart Art. You can either choose one of the ones that are available to you. You even get to see a preview, pretty cool, right? Or down at the bottom, you see more smart art graphics. So you could click that and then choose any of the ones that are available to you. Maybe I'll go for something cool like that or that. I don't know, the world's kind of my oyster. Neat, right? So all you have to do is highlight it and give it a right click to convert. Yep, that's pretty much all you have to do. And what's nice to know is you can go the other way as well. You can right click on the edge of a smart art, and it does need to be on the edge, the bounding box, and choose Convert to Text. And then blam, back it is in bullet points. You could go back and forth all day if you wanted to. Go ahead and give that a shot. Make a regular slide with regular old bullets, highlight them, give them a good right click, convert it to smart art, maybe animate that smart art. Take a little bit of time and play with it. Smart art is a very powerful tool, isn't it? You financial or numbers-based people, you know who you are probably wondering, what about charts and graphs and things like that? Well, now's the time for you to shine because that's what we're doing. Although PowerPoint does have a chart and graph maker, you know what? Here's the way that everybody does it. They basically copy and paste from Excel. So that's what we're going to do too. I'm going to go ahead and open up Excel. And I'll make a brand new spreadsheet. If you don't have Excel, then you can just check this part out. maybe we'll do something like first quarter sales. So I'll do January. And I happen to know I can pull this little doohickey in the corner and make February and March. Ooh, pretty cool, right? And let's see who works here. David works here because that guy does everything. And we'll also have Sandy. David sold 100, 200, and 300. That guy's getting better all the time. Sandy sold 150, 300, and 400. David doesn't look so great anymore. We're going to make ourselves a little chart. Pretty easy. Just highlight the whole thing. You go up to Insert, and you choose a chart. You can either go with a recommended chart. Excel tries to choose it for you, which is pretty cool. Or you can just pick one of the ones we've got here. I'm just going to do a regular old column chart. Nobody's super impressed with 3D charts anymore. Except for a pie chart, which strangely enough does come across better in 3D. So I'll give it a click. And there it is. Here's how you get it in PowerPoint. Ready? You click it, either right click and choose copy, or I can do Control C if I'm all fancy. I go to PowerPoint, and I right click and I paste. Now I can use the destination theme as well and embed the workbook, which means use my corporate colors and embed all the data. Or I can keep it looking the way it looked in Excel. Do you see these ones with a little link on them? The little link is saying, hey, if it changes in Excel, change it in PowerPoint, which can be useful if you're giving a report every week, but most of the time you just choose one of these first two here. All right, so I'm going to keep the destination theme and embed it. Now, I'm going to delete it real quick, and I'll use the shortcut. So I'll do Control V instead of right-clicking. When I do Control V for paste, notice down in the lower right-hand corner, I get these little choices that pop up. These are the same choices I just saw a minute ago, so you can change your mind if you want. Note that the default pasting does link it to the original, which is often not what you want. So if you're going to change something, this might be the place. All right, we're going to play around with this some, but take a second, pause the video, get yourself into Excel, make a little chart, copy and paste it into PowerPoint. Make sure you can do it. Now, after you're in here, you can edit the thing if you like. I can open it up. I can click things and move them around. I can also change font size. 9 is not very big. Maybe I'll bump it up to like, I go up to 28 because I'm crazy. And because I want people to be able to see it. And I'd do the same thing down here for January, February, and March. Now you can really edit it however you want, but you definitely want people to be able to see the thing, right? Up in the chart title, I didn't type a chart title before, so now I'm going to highlight it. And I could put sales numbers in there, or if I wanted to, I could say, oh, I delete you. So I just clicked it and hit delete, which is something I kind of enjoy doing. So go ahead and give that a shot. Click inside of your chart, format it some, change the size of text, which is something you usually need to do. Okay, now after you do that, there are other things that you can do as well. For example, if you click the chart, you'll notice you get a Design and a Format tab pop up at the top, right? So you've got all these different formats that I can apply. I can change the colors really quick. I can get into quick layout and change the way it looks there. I can even change the whole chart type. Pretty neat, right? The idea is that it brings the data along with it, so you're not really stuck with what you had when you copied and pasted from Excel. You can change it later in PowerPoint as well. Press pause for a minute and explore that. Now, sometimes you're showing a chart for comparison, and that's what charts are supposed to be for, really. They tell a story. But sometimes you're revealing data with a chart. So if that's true, I might want to animate the chart. You might remember with Smart Art, at first you click it, you go up to Animations, you tell it what kind of animation you want, but then you have to tell it what options you want. Do you want it all at one? Do you want it to come in by series or by category? So if I choose category, I'll see January, February, and then March. Neat, right? Okay, so take a little bit and experiment with that. Click a chart, go to the Animations tab, choose one of the animations, and then choose which effect option applies. When you're done, now you know all about charts. How nice for you. Practice with them some. Charts do get a lot of use in PowerPoint. In this module, if you've been watching the whole way through, you've learned some pretty advanced things about PowerPoint. You learned how to work with master slides, which allow you to build a PowerPoint template that you can instantly apply to your whole project. You've learned how to use artwork instead of boring bulleted lists with Smart Art. And you've learned how to work with charts and graphs, all of which are pretty important when you come to think about it. Now's a good time to take some time and practice. It's nice to learn, but without practice, the information can float out of your head pretty quickly, can't it? We hope you've enjoyed learning with us here at Learnit Anytime. My name's David Lieberman, and thank you for learning. Welcome to Advanced PowerPoint Part 2. In this module, we'll basically get in here and we'll do cool things like animation and video and sound and a bunch of other little things that are sort of left over in PowerPoint, but that are nice to know, and if you're going to learn it, you might as well learn it all. My name's David Lieberman, and I'll be walking you through Advanced PowerPoint. Now, it is important to know that these modules are designed for you to follow along with, so feel free to open up PowerPoint, and when you learn something, try it yourself. Make sure that it sticks. Having said that, let's go learn some stuff. Okay guys, everybody loves animation. It's fun, it adds engagement, all that kind of good stuff, right? Which is why we need to think a little bit about strategy before we actually do it. 'Cause check this out. Ooh. Now, I had a lot of fun making this slide, but we have to admit, in general, it's kind of childish, right? If you watched our part about images earlier, you heard my rule about no clip art ever. Do you see why? We're not in 3rd grade. If we're going to use images, let's use images. Aside from that, the animation here doesn't really add anything at all. And if you do like it, it's funny, right? Well, that's where that's bad. Animation should never be funny. It should never make you laugh. Humor, when you're not using it to prove a point, always takes away from the message. So if you're going to use animation, what do you use it for? Well, maybe you use it to reveal information as you're talking about it to keep your presentation engaging. Check it out. Maybe I'm talking about handouts, or where you can get manuals, or the best e-learning website ever for you to sign up for, and maybe what comes next. Because I'm revealing as I go, it keeps the presentation more engaging. Automatic animation can also keep the presentation more engaging. But note how this animation is also telling a story. As it opens itself up and more big names start appearing on the screen, the story is, look at all of these people that work with Learnit. Animation is generally either to engage in a reveal or to tell a story. Please note that when you're animating text, you have to be very careful about how you animate it because people try to read it as it comes in. In general, a nice classy fade works really well. Maybe it's okay to have text come towards you, but you'd want to avoid things that you don't naturally see in real life. In real life, nothing comes spinning in and bounces and lands in front of you. Well, not that often. And you'll find that if you use those animations in PowerPoint, people will either see them as childish or they'll think they're funny, neither of which is good for you. Okay, so you'll use animation to reveal, or you'll use animation to engage and tell a story. Making sense? Now, just so you know, you can go down the rabbit hole and spend a lot of time on animation, so you're going to have to be cognizant of it. Sometimes good enough is, it's good enough, let's move on. However, if you have a big presentation or something that you give often, you can spend more time in animation. Now, one more thing. If you're giving a remote presentation and you have the time to spend in it, there's no person standing in front of the audience engaging them like there is in a normal presentation. Remote presentations generally require and can benefit from a lot more animation than an in-person presentation. In an in-person presentation, most of the engagement should come from the speaker. So things like reveal animations are much more popular, whereas engagement animations are much more necessary when you're presenting remotely. Make sense? Okay, all of that really boils down to animations shouldn't be funny, pretty much ever. And the reasons you'll animate are to reveal information or to engage your audience by telling a story. Okay, now that we've got that, let's learn. Okay guys, you might want to build a slide that looks like this, or if you prefer just to open something, I've got a presentation for you. It's called Animation Before, because it's a slide deck that we're going to animate before we animate it. You should be able to find that in the resources that accompany this module. Now that you've got that, let's animate the most common thing to animate, bullet points. Now you could animate these bullet points one by one, just by highlighting the bullet point, going up to animations and choosing an animation. But we're going to do a cool little trick. So often you animate bullet points one by one by one by one, that there's a faster way to do it. Here's how it works. It's pretty easy actually. You write out your bulleted list, and then you click inside one of the bullets. You don't have to highlight, just click inside, and click one of the animations on the Animations tab. Now, if it were up to me, for the most part, you just use fade. Fade is the most classy of them. So when I give it a click, you'll see it'll fade in 1, 2, 3, 4. And it even says 1, 2, 3, 4 over here next to it. Now when I play the presentation, each one of these animations is going to happen when I click. You notice up here it says on click. So if I play the presentation, I can talk to you about where the handouts are, and then I can mention where the manuals are as well, and a really cool e-learning company that you can use. Maybe even some future education for you. How nice. This is one of the most important things for you to do in PowerPoint, period. It's just super boring to sit there and read a bulleted list and then wait for 10 minutes while someone finishes up talking about it. If you reveal your bullet points one by one as you're talking about them, it makes it much more engaging, especially if you use them as a remember this punchline. You bring up bullet points at the end of what you're talking about instead of the beginning. Now this does pretty much require that you have notes with your presentation, because who's going to memorize all these bullet points? But remember, nobody stood up in a presentation ever and said, "Hey, he's got notes, this is lame," and stormed out. Okay, give that a shot. Remember the way that it works is you click in a bullet point and you just click fade. And then play the presentation to make sure that it worked. Now, let's say that you're not using bullet points and you want to create an animation sequence, like we've got all these logos here on the screen and we'd like them to come up one by one. It's pretty easy, actually. Basically, what you do is you click something and you go to animations and you choose the type of animation you want. You can have it fade or you can have it fly in. Some of the animations have effect options. So for example, I can have it fly in from the left. When I'm happy with the animation, I move to the next one and give it an animation as well. Click. Click. Notice each one of them gets itself a little number. And when you play the presentation, the ones that I've animated aren't showing until I click next, next, next. So basically, I'd go through the whole thing clicking next, next, next. Go ahead and try that yourself. Put some things on the screen, click them, and add animations to them on the Animations tab. Now, let's say that you didn't want the animations to have a click to move on. Well, that's pretty easy as well. Do you see when you click a shape, up at the top it says Start on Click? Well, if I want it to start at the same time as the previous one, then I choose With Previous. If I want it to start after the previous, I choose After Previous. Maybe I'll do Wells Fargo as After Previous as well. I can change the duration, how fast the animation works, And I can also change the delay, the time in between the animation. Let's watch it now. So I have to click so the first one comes up, and then the others happen automatically. I could also set the first one to happen with or after the previous. In this case, the previous is the slide coming up, so that's the one I'll choose. Try that. Animate images in automatically. Add an animation and then choose after previous or with previous if you want them all to happen at the same time. Now, sometimes you've got a whole bunch of things that you need to animate like this, and you want them pretty much all to animate the same way, but it gets kind of old if you have to animate them over and over and over again, which is why it's nice that you can do it one time and then just copy that animation onto other elements. They call it painting an animation. Here's how it works. You basically set up an animation. Maybe I'll click this one and have it fade in and tell it instead of starting on click, I'll have it start after the previous. So I've set the animation all nice. Then I give that item a click and I go up to the animation painter. If I click the animation painter, I can click any other object and that object gets the same animation as the original. If you want to get fancy about it, you can click an object with an animation and double click the animation painter. Click, click. Now it's just going to stay on until I go shut it off. So I can say, okay, you animate and you animate. And how about you animate and you and you and you. And I certainly wouldn't want to leave you out. And now they're all animated. It's a lot faster, isn't it? Here, let's watch it play. Nice, right? Give that a shot. Put multiple items on a screen, animate one of them, and then with that item clicked, turn on the animation painter. Double click it if you like, and apply the animation to the other objects. Remember, you'll have to play the slide in slideshow mode to see it work. Cool, isn't it? Now, so far, the only animations that we've done have been entrance animations. Basically, there wasn't anything on the screen, and then we animated it, and it came on the screen, right? Well, the thing is, there are a whole bunch of other types. If I open up my animations, look at all that. See, we've got entrance, and then lower down you have emphasis effects. Emphasis effects are designed to call attention to something. And then you've got exit effects. And all the way down at the bottom, motion paths, so you can make something follow a path. Let's say, for example, I had this bulleted list up already, and instead of having them come in one by one, I just wanted to call attention to them. I could click inside one of the bullet points, and instead of choosing an entrance effect, I could choose an emphasis effect, like pulse. Then when I played the presentation, I'd say, guys, let's talk about handouts for a minute. Ooh. Then we talk about manuals and e-learning and related classes, right? Pretty neat, right? Okay, try it yourself. Put something on the screen, and instead of doing an entrance effect, try emphasis or exit. Just so you know, right now you can only put one animation on something, but in a minute we're going to learn how to do multiple animations. Give that a shot though. Okay, so let's say I did want to just make these fade in one by one, because that's awesome. And then I wanted to come back and talk about e-learning, so I wanted to call emphasis to that. If I just go and add emphasis, right now the emphasis will replace the initial animation. If you want to add animations, you have to add animations over here where it says add animation. So I open that up and you'll see all the same animations. It's just in doing this, you'll add a new one. So let's say I do it this way. Now I already animated these in 1, 2, 3, 4. You see 1, 2, 3, 4? If next I want to come back to e-learning, I'm going to highlight that so it'll do just that one, and go up to add animation, and maybe I'll have it pulse. Ooh. Now when I play, you'll see I can talk about the handouts and the manuals and the e-learning and the related classes. And I can say, okay, wait a minute, guys. Let's back up and talk about e-learning for a minute. Neat, right? Here, look, the whole thing is if you're trying to add a sequence to an object, instead of adding it under animation up at the top, you'll add animations, and you can add as many as you like. Put something on the screen and add a sequence. Give it a shot. It can be a lot of fun. Now, I'm sure the animations that you make will be perfect the first time you ever make them, but for the rest of us mortals, you might want to know how to edit an animation after you made it already. To do that, you'll click the Animations tab, and then open up the animation pane. Now, there's nothing in there right now because I haven't animated, but let's say that I do. Let's say that I click inside of one of these, and I say, hey, fade in one by one. And it goes, oh, and it does it. Notice the automatic sequence comes in collapsed, but I can open it up if I want. And then maybe I'll choose e-learning, and I'll add an animation to it. Maybe I'll have it pulse. Do you see now that's been added is the 5th? And you can see the little number 5 there, and 3. Maybe then I'll have this guy slide in. He'll fly in, except not from the bottom because that's a little silly. He'll fly in from the right. And then we're all done. I'll add an animation to him and have him leave. Now, if you just want something to fade away, it's okay to make it fade. You don't actually have to have the guy leave, which can be kind of funny. Now, if I play this slide, you'll notice that in come the bullet points, and then e-learning gets called to, and then the guy slides in and slides away. And I might think to myself, I really kind of wanted that guy to slide in the beginning. Well, okay, here's how it works. On the animation pane, we identify the animation with the guy. It's this one, 6, 7. You see 6 over here? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click it and either use these arrows to move him up, or I can just grab it and pull it. You see the little line shows up? Yeah. Now he fades in first. Aside from order, I can also click any of these animations by either clicking them in the pane or by clicking their corresponding number and change their start, duration, or delay. Let's see what happens when I play now. Here comes the guy first, and then all of our fancy bullet points calling attention to Learnit Anytime, and then off he goes because he learned enough. The idea is basically once you make something, you can reorder or change it by clicking it over on the side and changing the animation. You can even choose to remove animations there just by clicking the animation and pressing delete on your keyboard. Okay, now's one of those nice times that you get to mess something up on purpose. Build an animation sequence and then change the order that the sequence happens in. Now that you're animating your heart out, let's look at some common reveal techniques that are pretty fancy and will impress everyone at your work, but are also pretty easy to do. Okay? So for example, here we have a logo reveal. This kind of gives a nice impression of look at all the things that we're doing. These can be done with logos or products or really when you've got a lot of things to show at one time. Here's another type. Here's what's called a wipe reveal. Let's look at how these work. The logo reveal is actually pretty easy. If I give it a click, I'll see that it's set to fade after the previous, and I have a shorter duration of 50 seconds. Remember that you can set an animation on one object, and then use the animation painter to add it to all the other objects. So it's just fades after previous. Pretty neat. Here under IT Pro Training, we've got a zoom animation. Again, it's set to start after the previous, so it happens automatically, and the duration's even faster. It's down to about 1/3 of a second. But look, it's engaging, isn't it? Once people start seeing an animation, if they have to wait for it to finish, they get really bored real quick. So it's okay to have fast animations as long as they don't feel jarring. Now this last one is pretty neat, actually. Let's watch it again. Now, here's the secret. You see end user training? It's already there. It never goes away. It's just white. It's the same color as the background. If I move this black bar out of the way, you can't see it, right? So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is that this black bar is flying in the screen from the left. And then the picture of the person just fades in. So it's a fly from the left and a fade in, and then a fly from the left and then a fade in. Let's watch it again. Now granted, these took me a little while to do. They look easy, and they are, but it's not the making, it's the deciding. So if you have some extra time, why not do it? And right now, while you're learning, hopefully you do have some extra time. So go ahead and make yourself a logo reveal. Or a logo reveal that flies at you. If you want to, try a wipe. Pretty neat, isn't it? Bet you never knew PowerPoint could be so much fun. Here you see a graphic that started its life as a smart art. And if you learned about smart arts, you learned that we could have them animate in one by one by one. But this one's doing something special. Let's check it out. If you're a project manager learning about project requirements, you'll learn that there are different types of project requirements. For example, you've got business requirements, which is basically what the business needs out of the project. Then you've got functional requirements. This is basically what does the project need to get done. You make a big list of all the things that it's supposed to do and the features that it'll need to make that happen. Just because you have a big list doesn't mean that you actually can build that project. That's where the technical requirements come in. What's required to actually build the project? When you write all of these down and very carefully plan, now you know a lot about the project that you're about to embark on, and you have what's officially called a requirements document. Did you learn something? It's pretty cool, isn't it? But let's look again at the way it works. The circle starts up here, and then it moves down, and then reveal happens. Not only am I making a smart art animate the way I want it to, but the circle kind of moved down in a very interesting way. It went right where I wanted it to go, right? Okay, let's learn about both of those. Now I've got a smart art here. You might remember this from the smart art section. And it is a smart art. The thing is, if you apply a smart art animation, it'll try to apply it to the whole smart art, or it'll allow you to do a couple of things like reveal one by one by one. But if you want to animate it however you feel like you want to animate it, you can do that. You just have to ungroup the smart art first. Now take care, because when you ungroup it, it's no longer smart art. Okay, here's how to get it done. You click the smart art, and then on the Home tab, we're going to ungroup the smart art. So you go up to Arrange and you ungroup it. But here's the trick, you have to ungroup it twice. Because notice on the screen I ungrouped it once and it's still one piece. So I go up to Arrange and I ungroup it again. Ooh, now all their separate pieces. And I can animate them however I choose. America, freedom. Try it. Put a smart art on the screen, go up to Home tab, and under Arrange, ungroup a couple of times until you can see all the individual pieces. Now that you've ungrouped the smart art, you can animate it however you want. And you notice before I had a circle that flew in the screen exactly where I wanted it to go. Well, those flying in exactly where you want them to go, those happen here in the animations, all the way down at the bottom, and you might have to scroll to see it, to see the motion pads. You see you've got lines and arcs and turns and shapes and all kinds of craziness. The ones that you use most of the time are just the regular lines. If I give that a click, it'll put itself on the screen and it'll show you the moving, and you see the green and the red for go and stop. So I can take the red one and move it wherever I want to, and I can take the green one and move that as well. Green will say, hey, the animation starts here, and then it finishes here. But note that position power is still on the screen. Well, the thing is, it was already on the screen. So if you have an animation start somewhere where the image isn't, like it is here, the image is here, the animation starts here, what'll happen is it'll appear on the screen and then jump there and then animate. So most of the time, instead of actually messing around with the little green dot on the end, you'll position the object where you want it to start and then add the motion path. For example, maybe I'll take this one and I'll start it off the screen and I'll add a motion path. And I'll let it go ahead and start right there. When I zoom out, I'll grab that little red dot and move it to where I want it to go. I can use the arrow keys for expert positioning if I want to. Then I'll zoom back in so I can see it. You see how that works? Now when I play the animation, it's probably not going to be the cleanest ever, but you get the idea. Here, watch me play. So position power moves over first, and then expert power comes in to really assert its dominance. Neat, right? Okay, so there are two things that we learned here. One is that if you're trying to work with a smart art and you really need to break it apart, you need to ungroup it on the Home tab twice. And then you can use these motion paths down here at the bottom to basically make things go wherever you want them to go, starting from wherever you want them to start. Now again, remember, it's pretty easy to fall into a PowerPoint hole here. It's easy to spend 45 minutes or an hour on a slide, and most of us don't have that much time. But if the presentation is really important, or you use it a lot, or it's being used for a remote presentation, and you've got the time, go to town. The thing is, right now, you know more about PowerPoint animation than almost everyone you will ever meet. So if you want to keep that up in your head, now's a really good time to stop and practice. Now, when you animate things, let's not just make stuff zip all over the screen because it's fun. I mean, it is fun. But if you want something to stick and be able to use it later, you'll picture something that you might actually really have to do. Studies show that if when you practice, you pick something real to yourself, it sticks a lot better. Go ahead and have fun. And congratulations on your animation knowledge. You know, sometimes people use PowerPoint to make like a lobby display or something that just sits there and rotates and goes kind of all by itself. And you certainly don't want to have somebody sitting there clicking next, 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 next. That'll get pretty old, right? Well, good thing there's a way to make all of this stuff happen automatically. Here's the way it works. You head to the Transitions tab, and you apply a slide transition. I'm just going to do regular fade. Now, here's where the catch comes. I'm also going to tell that yeah, okay, on a mouse click, and you know what also? Do it after a second, or maybe 2 seconds. And unless I want to do this to every slide, I'll click Apply to All. And now when I play the presentation, oh, look at it go. Looks like 2 seconds might have been a little bit fast, but you get the idea. When you're practicing, 2 seconds is probably pretty good because you don't want to wait forever. You'll have to feel it out, but now you've got something that animates automatically. Here's the thing though, when it gets to the end, it's not going to automatically loop, unless you tell it to. Now you might have to look up how to do this, but here's the way you make something automatically loop. On the Slideshow tab, you'll find all the things to apply slideshow wide. And under Setup Slideshow, there's a cool little button to make it loop continuously until someone hits escape. Okay, so to make it happen automatically, you apply a transition and a time, and then tell it apply to all. And if you want it to loop, on the Slideshow tab, you click Setup Slideshow, and there you'll find loop. Give it a shot. This isn't one of those things that you need to memorize, but knowing that you can do it will also allow you to go look it up when it's time to go look it up. If a picture can say 1,000 words, a video can say like 1,000,000 words, or however many words are actually in the video because a video can say words. Either way, one of the things that people love to be able to do is to put a video inside of PowerPoint. Now, let's remember that the video we use should be used for a reason. That although it was totally fun back in the day when we used to watch a movie in class, that doesn't mean that the movie was anything more than the teacher trying to relax. Putting in a video is really pretty easy. You go up to Insert, and look, Video, right? So you've got online video, which doesn't work. It was made to work with a YouTube video, but Google changed the way YouTube worked. Or you can do Video on my PC, which is how most of us will do it. So you click Video on my PC, and you go find yourself a video. It'll pretty much take all of the modern video file types. I'll put in this WMV, and I insert. Pop, in it goes. Now, just like pictures, if a video is taking up most of the screen, it's not going to be that engaging as much as it would be anyway if it took up the whole screen. So you might need to resize it and sort of move it a little bit. Once it's in, you can put these silly borders if you want on there, but really if you're going to be editing it, you're going to go up to playback up here and tell it whether or not it should fade in, fade out. You can trim the video if there's weird beginnings and ends. Or most commonly, what you'll change is when the video starts. By default, it starts on a click. You generally don't want to go into a slide and then have to click again for it to play. So most of the time, you'll just want it to start automatically. Right? So I'll start here, and I'll play the slideshow. How nice for me. All this stuff. And then we're going to talk about like, ooh. You know, that really is quite a bit more exciting than training numbers, but what are you going to do? Right, so it's pretty easy to put in a video. It's just insert the video. Now the thing is that it does embed the video. So your PowerPoint file size can get quite a bit larger. If you do that, that's up to you. You might consider instead making a button on the screen that links to a video on your computer somewhere. We'll learn how to do that in a little bit. Of course, the downside of that is that you have to have more than one file while you bring everything around, but what you gonna do? All right, try it. Go up to Insert, put in a video. After you're on the video, go up to Playback and maybe at least have it start automatically. But if you want to, you can have it fade in or out, or you can mess around with the volume, or trim it so only trim it so that only a certain part of the video shows. Cool, right? All right, videos or insert to video. Guess where you go if you want to insert a sound? Yep, it's insert over to audio. Now, keep in mind that most of the time, people aren't ready for a PowerPoint slide deck to start making audio. So a lot of times it can be jarring or funny, both of which you really want to avoid, you know? Either way, there might be a reason to do it. Maybe it's the end of your class and you're going to play the graduation march or something like that. So you just click audio on my PC and you go add the audio. Now again, you can just have it play. You can have it play in the background, which plays it more quietly. You can have it start on a click or have it start automatically. You can play around with the volume and fade in and out. It's all the same stuff as the video. But then when you play, these training numbers are much more funky now. All right, give that a shot. It'll take most types of audio format that you have on your computer. Neat, right? Maybe you're worried about the file size that your PowerPoint deck is going to have if you put a whole bunch of video into it. Or maybe halfway through your presentation, you want to open up another file, like an Excel workbook, and show that to the audience. I mean, it's not the world's worst thing if you stop the presentation halfway through and go ruffling through your computer until you find the file you want, but it's not super slick either. So instead, we're going to learn to make a button in the PowerPoint presentation, and when we click that button, it'll automatically go open up the video or the Excel file, or really whatever else you want it to open up. Now, first when we make the button, it'll be visible, and then we'll make the button an invisible button. So only you will know it exists. Okay? It's pretty easy to do. Here's how it works. First, you draw something on the screen. I'm going to draw a great big rectangle. I'm going to cover pretty much the whole screen so I won't be able to miss the button. In real life, you can make it as big as you want. Then, you go up to Insert, and I'll put a hyperlink on that graphic. Click. So I can either type a web address down here, or I can go browsing through the computer until I find the file I want to link to. I'll go to the desktop where I happen to have a video here, and I'll link to that. Now, when I play the presentation, talk, and if I wiggle my mouse, you notice it gives me the finger. Not that finger, but a finger. So I click, and up pops the video. Pretty neat, right? Now the cool thing about it is when I close the video, I'm right back into PowerPoint. Yeah, works the same way for Excel files and Word and things like that. Sometimes it'll ask you if you're sure because of security concerns, but it's pretty neat, right? Okay, we're gonna make this slicker looking, but right now, let's go ahead and just draw yourself a big old rectangle. Go up to the Insert tab and put a hyperlink on it, link to a file. All right, perhaps you are saying, that's useful and everything, but I don't want a big old blue box all over my screen. Well, I say, look what you can do. I go to Professional Development here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I basically draw a great big old box on top of the screen. How nice for me. All right, I'm going to click the box, and I'll do the same thing. I'll go up to Insert and put a hyperlink on it. There's the wildlife. Click OK. And now is when I get clever. See, the box has a color, right? But I can remove the color and the box is still clickable. So I can click the box and go up to Format. And under Shape Fill, I choose No Fill. And I'll choose No Outline as well. No outline. Now when I play the presentation, you can't see the box, right? But I can still wiggle my hand over there, and when I click, it still opens the video. Pretty slick, isn't it? Okay, so it works the same way. You still draw the rectangle, but after you draw the rectangle, you go to the Format tab, and you shut off the fill, and you shut off the outline as well. Give that a shot, Mr. and/or Miss Advanced. Okay, so let's say you're done, or you think you're done. And so you start proofreading, you play it and you click through a couple of slides and you find a problem. So you hit escape and then you go fix that. And then you play again and you find a problem and you hit escape and you go fix it. It gets old after a little while. What's better is if you can play the slideshow, go through the whole thing and just mark everything that you need to fix. Then you go back and fix it all and you're done, right? Nice. So maybe I look at this slide and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And I go to the next slide. And while I'm looking at it, I go, you know what? The way that this guy's eyes are going is just kind of right here in the middle. I would love it if he was looking a little bit more at one of these. And so here's where I get fancy. You can either do Control P for the pen. While playing the presentation, Control P doesn't do print, it makes a pen. Or you can right click and go down to pointer options and change it to the pen. Now I can draw on the slide if I want to. So I go, let's move him so his eyes are kind of like there instead. Or I could maybe go there, but I'm doing something. See, I'm drawing. Now I can still go ahead and hit the next arrow and do whatever I want and move to the next slide. Oh, then he disappears. And I decide also, you know what? I don't want him to disappear, so I'm going to go like that. And I'll write no go or whatever the heck I'm going to write. And then I move to the next slide. And I watch this and it's pretty good, but I want it faster. It's not super easy to write with the mouse, so you can laugh at me if you want to, but I'm going to the next slide. Here we go. This one is amazing, so I'm going to leave it alone. And then I go to the next slide. And I go, you know what? There's a little strip right there that I don't need to see. You see how the black part pops in? And in this one, it's not even either, so I'll go like that. And you get the idea. I'm going through each of my slides and finding all the problems, right? Now, when I get to the end or hit escape, here I go hit escape, it says, hey, do you want to keep these ink annotations? That's what it calls these things, ink annotations. I go, heck yeah, keep them. And so now here they are, right? So I can come in and find the parts that I need to deal with, fix them up, and after I fix it, I can click the little arrows and just get rid of them, right? I do the same thing here, fix, 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 get rid of that stuff, and just, work with it until I'm happy. The idea is, hey, look, you can come in here and write on the slides all at one time so that you can fix things easily. And again, the way that it works is when you play the presentation, you can either do Control P or you can right click and go to pointer options and choose the pen. Give it a shot now. Make a couple of slides, play the presentation. It does have to be in full screen mode. And then use the pen to annotate a couple of things you want to fix. That's one of those things you can tell your workmates because now you're fancy. So you have made the world's best PowerPoint deck. And so you think to yourself, I have made the world's best PowerPoint deck. And you know that while you're giving your presentation, people are going to want to take tons of notes, right? So here's what you can do. You can either make them a handout, which is usually just a fancy outline, or you can let them take their own notes, right? Or you can kind of do somewhere in between, because there's a printable version of the PowerPoint deck that's made for letting people take fancy notes. PowerPoint calls it a handout. It's not really a handout. A handout is something you make for your audience. It's more like fancy note paper, but it is pretty nice. Here's how it works. You go up to File, and you go down to Print. Now when you get there, notice that right now it's saying that it's going to be printing full page slides, right? Or you can open that up. You can print full page slides, or the notes pages, which actually might make a pretty good handout. Or down here, do you see where it says Handouts? You've got 1 slide, 2 slides, or 3 slides. If you look closely at this one with 3 slides, you'll notice that it has some lines next to it. So if I click that one, ooh, look what it does. So it has a little picture of the slide, and then lines for people to take all of the important notes about what you're saying. Now, if you're going to do this, you'll have to be cognizant that they'll only be able to fit a certain amount on each slide. So you might have to limit how much you say on each slide for people to take notes efficiently. Either way, it's pretty cool, right? And if nothing else, it's pretty impressive as well. Now, one thing you'll have to think about, if you're going to be doing a lot of animating, the animation, the slide is going to have to make sense before it animates. See what I've got going on here with the project requirements? Notice that you might remember that the project requirements animated down and then these all popped in, but the slide looks the same way it does when you built it. So I guess this is something you'll want to think about. Either way, the ability to print out slides as notes or as a handout can come in handy. And remember, the way that you do it is you go up to the File tab and you click on Print. And then generally, instead of full page slides, you tell it, no, print me one of these fancy handouts. Give that a shot. Even if you're not connected to a printer, it'll still let you go up to the print options.